not, they can't hear you. So on the 20th, we are gonna take off. So March, right after the last one, the 19th.
So when do I have to sign?
Well, it would be that Thursday. Lori, it'll be the Thursday.
27th?
Yes. Yeah. But she'll get with, I'll get with you. You just gotta come in, you gotta sign the vouchers and stuff like that. It's not a big deal.
Get a hold of her.
I will, she will.
A day ahead of time.
But I'm just, yeah, she will. I just letting you know, she's making me take her, so.
I'm not going.
Okay, good. 2 minutes.
That'll do it. Well, there's a problem right there. I've had this thing twice since I've been back. I open it up, I get everything rolling, and it just starts to conduct this 15, 20-minute update.
2 minutes. Today's the 5th, right? Aren't you? I'd like to welcome everyone to Town of Shenango Town Board Meeting, March 5th. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Warden?
Here.
Mr. Johnson? Here. Mr. Hulbert?
Here.
Mr. Lumsden?
Here. Mr. Clerk, any communications?
I do. I have a quick ask of the board tonight. I was wondering if it'd be all right with everybody if I could retain my deputy Renee for a month or until I get her job filled while I continue to seek applicants. It's my responsibility to make sure the clerk's office represents the town accordingly, and I can better represent the constituency with 2 of us there. That's kind of a given. Coverage is important, and it's not up to my standards with just one. Renee's been gone for a couple weeks of family emergency that's shown me that. Renee and Gavin both understand that this is about maintaining the standards in the clerk's office until I get her position filled. There's 2 ways we can do that. We can either table the resolution, or the start date on the resolution has been left blank, and we can just fill that for a month from tonight. And that's my ask.
Okay, any other communications?
No.
Moving on to open forum. As we often do, always do, guests shall speak in an orderly fashion, are limited to remarks of 5 minutes or less. The speaker shall deliver their comments or concerns in a civil tone without the use of profanity, personal attacks, or other disruptive behavior. The speaker shall not be interrupted except in a matter of urgency. Would anyone care to speak tonight? Yes, sir.
I just have a minor concern that I'm hoping the board can kind of advise me on. My name's Sim Wolf. I live on Morningside Drive. We have a busy bus stop at the end of our neighborhood, and I've been trying stuff that gets dumped there is unbelievable. I don't even want to describe it. So, the end of this month, I go and I pick it up, I put a new liner in the can, the next day, everything's gone. So I call BC Transit, I can't even get anybody on the to say, you know, yeah, we took it, I don't know if your street department took it. You know, it's really a minor concern, and I really don't know if this is even the right place to address it. But if you guys could give me some direction, or maybe a phone call from one of you would at least get someone on the phone. You know, I'd be more than willing to continue to do what I was doing. And I think it may even be a good idea to have, like, you know, we do adopt a highway, right? Why not adopt a bus stop? Like, I've got the Comfort Inn looking at that. So, you know, you would think they'd be willing to help out. But, you know, I'm kind of at my wit's end. I don't wanna put another can there and just have it disappear.
Right.
Can I answer that? We used to provide the cans there. Ours was like, yours got stolen. They were getting filled with personal garbage and everything, so we pulled the garbage can after we spoke with BC Transit. So we pulled our garbage cans out months ago because they were getting just vandalized or overfilled with household garbage. So, just an FYI.
Let me see, I'll do a little research tomorrow on it, sir, and we'll see if the board brings it up in discussion later.
Okay, thanks. I know it's an urgent
Of
thing.
what?
I just want to understand the location of where this was,
Morningside Drive,
but was it
right
at,
across from the Comfort Inn.
yeah, but it was at a bus, was it at a bus stop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I put the can right inside the bus stop with a sign saying, please use the trash can, and instantly the problem was solved.
No? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I understood exactly where the location was. Of the garbage can, okay.
Did we like chain our our garbage cans down to the pole
We
or
used to,
anything?
but then when they put the new bus stop there, they
They-
didn't want us to change it to the new bus
Oh.
stop. Because the last person ripped the black glass out. So we didn't chain it there, then they got stolen. And that was back in late fall. So we didn't put anything back in there. I spoke with BC Transit. Told them I wasn't gonna put a can back there because they got vandalized, they got stolen, and people just put their household garbage there.
Whose property actually is it? Is it within the right-of-way of New
It
York
is in the
State?
right way of town. Oh, the state,
Can you put your mic on, please, Greg?
yeah. I'm not.
I don't really want to get into a discussion, I'm just
I don't think
asking
so.
a question, that's all.
I
Okay,
don't think so.
Sir,
thanks.
let us do a little research and
Sure. I'd
Call my
appreciate
office
any help you could give me.
And anyone can adopt a highway. I actually did it before myself, so,
Yeah, sure.
okay. Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? Yes, ma'am.
So this is my first time ever
Okay.
speaking, so if I need to use the microphone, just want to make sure. that
You
everything-
you're more than welcome to use that microphone. Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Carmela Hopkins. I am actually not a resident here, but my family and I live in the town of Kirkwood. But a couple of weeks ago, hopefully you remember, I stepped into Mr. Lemson's office. We had a really nice conversation. So I work with a company called Aptigee. I actually work with all of our New York clients and manage our partnerships. And we had a conversation, and he invited me to present to the council. So here I am. So just wanted to give a little bit of information about the work that we're doing. So I actually grew up in Hancock, and so we actually made a personal connection because Mr. Lemson family back in the day was from Hancock. But the town of Vestal has come on board with us as a client, and we have over 200 clients who are school districts in New York, one of which is Shenango Fork School District. Helpful to just share a little bit of information about the work that we're doing. Mostly there's so many different places for your community and staff members and your stakeholders to go and get information, but we know that everybody is on their cell phones. So one of the pieces that we do is we'll build a branded mobile app for the town that has all sorts of information on how to get in touch with you, what events are going on, really just ways to engage the community. And another piece, we would also integrate and build a new website, and we would also we have the capabilities of handling a alert system, which could replace your current emergency alert system. So essentially just wanted to share a little bit about that and see if there was any interest in having a deeper discussion with the council and seeing the tools. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you for being open to the idea and learning more. I would also invite you to, you can go in and to the App Store either on Android or iPhone and download the Town of Hancock app and check it out for yourself and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Before I put this back, did anybody
Anyone else like to speak? There's a lady in the back, please. Take it, Ms. Savory, if you use the mic, it will help us tremendously. Thank you.
I have a quick question. I know on the, when you call the town number, there's reference to reporting lights out, or at least there used to be. Could you tell me if there are lights out along, like the exit or the entrance to 81, right in there on that curve where it's pitch black? Another place is when you come off from 81 onto Front Street, right there by the overpass, pitch dark there. Are those lights the responsibility of NYSEG, or are they the town or the county?
New York State, DOT.
DOT?
I reach out to them
All the time.
monthly, to tell them that the lights are out. And they're
It's-
unfortunately slower than I said.
Yeah, both areas are like going into just this huge dark hole.
Yeah, no, it's New York State DOT.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else like to speak? Hearing none, we're going to move on with our agenda.
Greg,
Oh.
could you send to the town board the contact for who you reach out to so we could put it in the minutes?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to number 5, old business. 5.1, Judge Fetish's concerns.
Good afternoon. Thank you again for putting me on the agenda. The information that you had requested has been submitted. I submitted to Jody. Some of it was deemed to be confidential, so it was sent to you guys directly on that. In comparison to the numbers that I had, my numbers were high. I was wrong. I had 5,899 would be the total increase. Ms. Eldridge's numbers are 5,559 with the attached burden rate worksheets for the total cost increase for the request that I'm asking.
Any questions for Mr. Fetish from the board?
I-
Were you done, sir?
Yes, unless there's any questions.
I have no questions.
The math doesn't add up.
The one thing, I said the same thing. Ms. Eldridge said that the burden rate is actually a funny thing. And it looked like the one full-time employee had actually dropped a little bit based on certain percentages. She tried to explain it to me, but I don't understand.
All I'm saying is the right column, the amount of increase to the budget is listed as 5,500 or 5,559.70.
Yep.
If you add those up, I come up to 5,190.85. Am I wrong?
That I did not check.
You're not wrong just by adding up the pennies. Yeah, you know, so, yeah, it's not right.
This was prepared by Ms. Eldridge.
Well, it's better.
I'd like to make a statement just for the record. In the past, the town board has approved to make an offer to hire someone for any position. The board would always give a salary range based on the experience. Judge Fetish hired our court clerk and hired her because she had over 30 years of clerking for judges in Broome County. When he hired her and put her at the higher end of that scale that the board had authorized. The former town supervisor, without board approval, lowered the pay to the lower end of the range without consulting the judge or the board. If that clerk's pay was where it should have been in the beginning, and each year she got her percentages increased that everyone else received, she would have been a little bit more in line than where she is today. In the year that I've been sitting here in this seat doing my supervisor's role, I have observed this clerk handling public stacked up sometimes 6 deep at the window. She has a very great work ethic, and she clearly is a professional at her job. I believe she has been an asset to the judges as well as other clerks that she helps train. I would hope the board would at least give a little consideration to this. That's all. I just wanted to state that for the record.
When we were putting our budget together last November, this is similar to the amount of increase she wanted back then, right?
Yes,
And we gave a 3%, whatever it was, or?
yes, it
Yes.
was 3% across the board.
So in the meantime, you have lost a clerk,
Yes,
so you have one full-time clerk left and a part-time clerk presently. You still have one part-time, right?
correct.
And they're not too crazy about the conditions. They like to have an increase, right? To stay.
To stay, yes, basically in discussions I've had with all of them, especially around budget time, this year I explained about the burden rate and the
Yeah.
additional cost that they understand, because all they see is, like what I submitted 2 weeks ago, the salary study that shows the current rate, the average for a court clerk in Broome County is approximately $30 an hour based on it. So that's what they feel they're worth with it. I also feel they're certainly worth that, especially with the size and what we do here at the Town of Shenango Court. But eventually I would like to work to that, but I understand as a citizen and a taxpayer to come here and ask you guys, which would be about a 25% increase, trying to work it slowly. And I've been trying to do this since actually 2019, and just trying to slowly work at it. They understand that, and that's kind of where I'm at, and that's why I came up with these figures, is basically this is what I feel I need right here, right now, to get us where we need to be.
And the other thing I'd like to remind the board, I know Mr. Fetish, Judge Fetish said this at one of the meetings. He went through the building and asked all the other court clerks, or not court clerks, all the other clerks that would be qualified to be in the court clerk if they would be interested in it, and they all refused. It's hard to find people that'll work in that environment with the stress level. The one we have right now seems to handle it well. I'm just making my point, that's all.
In talking with them, they see what our days, I mean, not every day's like that, but they see what our court days are.
But
Everybody
Tuesdays
knows
and
what the
Wednesdays are busy.
So it is, usually we talk about budget during budget time. But I'm afraid we're gonna lose staff between now and then. So it is a little bit unusual. Another part that's unusual that I didn't realize till last meeting is that our town is busy and it makes somewhat of a profit, I guess that's the word to put it or not, for the town. And I heard from Nate last week that it's not unusual for other towns to run deficits.
Right.
So, I'm leaning towards giving to what you want, because I think we're gonna be in a real pickle if we don't. I understand what Gene's gonna say in about 2 minutes, because they're gonna live with the increase for the rest of their employment that they're with us, but we may not have anybody to even worry about if we don't do it. And the towns that are busy as ours are, they're paying $12,000 to $15,000 more right now than what we're even offering for them, even with the increase. So that's my view is, I wanna hear what you gotta say, Gene.
I was elected to be a representative of the constituents of this town, and it is not financially responsible to make these adjustments mid-year. I understand the economics of or the economy that we're sitting in and the labor pool we're sitting in, but my responsibility is to the town residents. We're not here to solve the world's problems. We're here to take care of the town's problems. And this is the wrong way to address it. Every single time that we have done mid-year adjustments, it has gone through the rest of the staff being unfair. And I don't believe that we can be so irresponsible to just go back and forth on our own decisions. So I don't support it for a lot of reasons, especially since we don't have this is like, I'm feeling like I'm being held hostage. And like we have to do this as a stopgap to keep somebody. And this is not even a guarantee that someone's gonna stay or somebody's gonna be down the road in a week, get an offer and leave. We're not avoiding that. The people that work in civil service do not go to work every day to get rich and to go through that. That's not the issue with it. There's a lot of benefits that go with this town, and it's total compensation. I've said it before. I can't support this.
I got a question for you. In the past, in other departments, we've lost people, and then the board, in desperation, would hire them back at a lot higher hourly wages than what the position was before, because we have a need to fill them. So is that, I'm asking you the question, is that more fiscal responsible to the taxpayers of this town than a known entity that we got?
You have to go back and take a look at the voting record to see what side of the fence everyone was on and what the situation was.
I'm just asking the question.
I don't believe.
Okay.
I don't believe putting the emphasis and the priority on one or two town employees over everybody else in the town makes sense.
But you set wages based on experience.
Yeah. We don't.
Well,
I mean, we
you
set
don't?
ranges for them and we hire them.
Well,
on
you
it.
have a range that you make an offer. You'll tell all the department heads, we'll give you from this to this based on their experience, and that did not happen in this case either.
This is a make-believe situation that we're trying to solve that isn't reality.
Well, it's not make-believe situation, that's exactly what happened.
No, we don't have the person's resignation. And
All
quite
right.
frankly, if they can go to work somewhere else, and that's the only thing that's gonna keep them here for that, we're not solving a problem by doing this. We're creating more problems.
So I look at it, if she walks, if they both walk, we're gonna be advertising for $12,000 or $15,000 more than what they're asking for to fill their places.
I understand that that's a possibility, but that is not.
And I don't think that's a fiscal responsibility on my part for the town to take that chance.
Well, to get us back in line, to have this discussion then, and the board can correct me, I make a motion to agree to the request that the judge is making. Do I have a second? Then we can have the discussion. You second it, David?
Yeah, I'll second it, yeah.
Okay, now we'll have the discussion. Mr. Holbert?
I have nothing more to say.
Okay, I just thought we had to do the
Yeah.
process right, so it felt like we were getting out of.
You're correct.
How long has the one that resigned, how long has she been gone?
Gonna be just a month, coming up on a month, yes.
So that money hasn't been being paid out. That's still gonna be in your budget line.
Correct.
So this dollar amount's not gonna be as much as $5,000.
According to Ms. Eldridge, this is what the number would be.
Any more discussion?
What is the motion that you did? Because
To
Kevin said there's an error in the math, so what is the motion?
valid blank. Do you have the math?
How much is it off by? How much is the,
Oh,
Did you have it?
that's
I
what
thought you did.
I came up with that, when you add up all these lines.
5,000,
$190.85. There was a difference of $368.85.
so it was less.
No, it is less.
thought you
She
said-
was over by $368.85.
She was over by
I don't know
$368.
why. I don't know why those numbers didn't add up.
On my experience with this burden rate, the math does not make any sense whatsoever, but she punched it into, some type of program, and, cause I
Williams.
questioned the numbers as well, and she double-checked, triple-checked, and she said, this is what they are.
So then it might be a typo on that paper then. She's giving you line
Right.
items, correct?
Well, if they're wrong, how can you make a
Okay.
motion for them?
Okay.
how much you say that the difference is off between what the judge says and the figure is $100?
It's 300
Oh,
and.
$300.
$368.85.
Less.
Well, what's wrong? Is the 55, 59, 70 wrong, or is one of the numbers in the increased budget number wrong?
That's a good question.
So is this per,
If you look at, do you have the burden rate sheet? She had a comparison of what the salaries are now, and she attached with the adjustments to it. And basically, she told me that line 17 is one of the, which I don't understand, something is the more important one based on some of the numbers here. Again, I do not understand this math or accounting. Like I said, I don't get it. I with you that the numbers, but
That
my
that
question
changes
would-
because of the benefit she is privy to or not, correct?
Yes,
Because she's
and then-
not taking the package.
Then there's also some other rate that she said it's the labor burden rate percentage is somehow generated, and she didn't even know that's line 18. And she said that's what affects a lot of it, and if you actually look at it, the current one for the one full-time employee is higher than it is for her increase. And I caught that and brought that to her attention, and that's where she was wondering where the math was, but that was all done on the computer that they use. Actually, I believe it's Jody that does
That part,
computer
she
on
does
it,
the packages, yes.
so do you see what I'm saying on line 19? So it's a percentage, but it's a percentage. And that could be that difference you're saying. But my question is, if what she submitted is higher, we wouldn't spend that, because if the numbers are correct. The worst would be spending what she put on there.
But Mr. Holbert is right, we need to have the math correct.
will they be hanging around long enough for 2 weeks?
I don't know. I know there's some clerk openings that are popping up. I don't know. I know, like I said, as best I can, I've got assurances that they know what I'm doing, they know how many times I've been here, they appreciate the dialogue. I honestly, I can't answer that.
You did say you are looking for that missing clerk that, right now?
Yep,
to fill
we
the
have
position?
conducted interviews. We have a very good candidate, and we're probably gonna be moving at that. She's actually looking into the benefit package to see whether it'd be beneficial or not. But we're moving forward.
I look like we can't give you an answer for 2 weeks.
Right. I withdraw my motion to get the numbers correct.
So, like I said, I apologize, 2 weeks ago, I messed up the numbers. This time, somebody else, who do we get the numbers from?
Well, I'm gonna have to find out from Jody why, when she plugs it in the computer, why it comes out that way. Cause they're just putting data in, and then that calculates it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, again, I don't understand it, but Jody provided those numbers, but that first sheet is what Ms. Eldridge gave, and that's where she said that is the total, increase, that 5,559. So again, that was from Lori.
When did you get that?
Oh, last
Last
week.
week, yeah, okay, that's right. Okay,
The labor burden calculation sheets is an Excel spreadsheet. So,
say that again, Mr. Holbert, I didn't hear you.
the labor burden calculation sheet is an Excel spreadsheet. So, if the formulas in that are verified and they're correct, then those are the numbers that should be used for the burden. And then Lori will take those burden rates and add those to the salary rates that were adjusted. And that creates the difference from what is in the budget to
Okay.
what the
difference is.
proposed increase is.
Okay. Okay. Yep, good, yep. Kevin?
My question is, the math with the 9234 and the 267, is that just showing the number that's already up above? Because it says the budget, and it shows the amount increased to the budget. So
I don't
does that
understand your
math work
question.
or no? If you're looking at what
If
Ms.
you add
Eldridge
them
did,
too.
on the 110 line, she
Mhm.
has the amount of increase to the budget, then below, she says increase to the burden difference. So I don't know, does that matter? I don't understand this. So, one
Total
second here.
increase to the general fund budget
Yes,
wage.
it does. They're separate because the burden amounts do not come out of the line items for the salaries. So they're
They're
in the
above,
budget in
right.
two different places.
They're in a different
Burden's
line.
in a different, it's not.
They're,
in
di-
his
they're
budget.
in a different place, is what you're saying.
Right.
I appreciate it, I'm just trying to understand this myself.
Mhm.
Any more questions?
I have none.
I have none.
Mr. Holbert?
No,
Okay,
but
yeah.
I could tell you that I worked with Tammy Carl in developing the burden calculation sheets, so if there's a question on them
I
that
will-
Jody would want me
Well,
to
right
vet
now, our
through.
office is all tore apart, but I will get with her tomorrow and have her get either Tammy or yourself to help us figure that out.
Mhm.
You're willing to take that phone call? You always have. I just-
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not,
Thank you.
whether I support this issue or not,
I-
I still want.
Yeah, you wanna make sure that
I
the
want
burden-
No,
I
and
want it
I
right,
wasn't trying
Because I
to,
don't want it to just keep
Yes.
going on and on and on.
I wasn't trying to imply anything different. Thank you.
I also, but just to, you had commented in some of your support narrative that there was documentation on some of the things that the previous supervisor had done that I wasn't aware of or don't remember. So if you can disseminate that to the board because
Okay.
that's important information to me. I just don't want that to be just floating out in the ether.
Okay, I got that because he made that statement in a meeting before, so he can,
Yeah, I have no documentation, it should be in the minutes from
Okay.
when I asked to fill the position, what the rate was.
okay,
And then as far as the other documentation, because that position is not an at-will position. So that position is technically hired by and fired by the board. So that documentation was all kept with the supervisor on there. When I went to say, we agreed that it was supposed to be at this rate, she said, well, that's what you said. And I said, the board said up to that, so she went to the lower rate. Now, the way we found that out was when that employee received her first paycheck and we figured out what the rate was.
okay, so then we're gonna have to, you can give us a time frame of when that was so that we can pull the minutes of that. Because when I took over in the seat I'm in, I have no records of any of that in my office, because it was empty. But, so if you can pin us down on when that meeting was roughly,
Roughly.
we'll get with Mr. Clerk and we'll look back in the minutes to see what the board had approved. Is that fair, Mr. Holbert?
I just want the supporting information for what you had stated.
Okay. I stated it because he stated it in the meeting.
And I did.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else on this?
I'm good.
So
Okay.
the old business again in 2 weeks?
Well, we're gonna find out at the end of the meeting if the board's gonna put it on a future agenda.
Okay, all right,
Fair?
fair. I have to go to another meeting and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jed.
Okay. All right, moving on. We're gonna, is it 6 o'clock yet? We got time, no. We got a public hearing, for the Board of Assessment. New business, how would the board like to handle the interviews for the town board seat? We have the applicants here. Do we want to do it by alphabetical order? Do you want them to step out and bring one in at a time? How would the board like to do this? I see all 4 of them here.
Right?
Yes, but what order would you like them to go in?
Order that they appear on the agenda.
Okay, I just wanted to know.
That's my,
Do you-
that,
do you-
that,
do
that's
you-
my input.
Okay, David?
How do they appear on, yeah, I'm fine anyway.
I'm fine with how they appear on the agenda.
Yep. So, with that being said, do you want other ones to step out, or do you want them all to be right here and they can all hear? I don't care either, just, what do you wanna do? Have Mr. Smith speak first? That's how it's on the agenda.
And I'm fine with everybody in the room.
Okay, you good?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Mr. Smith? Oh, we gotta get you the mic so that it gets picked up with our, live stream. Thank you.
Check. Good evening and thank you for your time. My name is Scott Smith.
I think you gotta be a little closer to the mic. There you go.
Better?
Try it.
Is it on?
Can you guys hear him? That's back there?
Okay.
Check, 1, 2.
There you go.
So, again, I'm Scott Smith, town of Shenango resident for 40 years. Graduated Shenango Valley and SUNY Broome. My past work history includes working at the NICEAG Computer Help Desk, IBM Help Desks in Endicott, Fishkill, Southbury, and Poughkeepsie. From there, I moved on to Lockheed Martin, where I worked on several contracts. Leaving there in 2009 when the presidential helicopter project got canceled. Since then, I am now in my 14th year as a real estate agent. So for the town of Shenango, I've worked in the Environmental Review Board, which was short-lived because they closed that board, couldn't find it with the zoning board. 10 years with the Board of Assessment Review, and 8 years with the zoning board. So, been in the building a little bit. What can I do for you? Well, I can listen, I can learn, and I can report. Things in a community need to be investigated or talked about, I can go find the people and talk to them. If, statistics, well, I'm a baseball fan and a realtor, so I'm pretty good with statistics. Theater background and musical background I have, so I'm not afraid to be out in front of people. Not afraid of crowds. And today I left a message at my party's headquartered in Binghamton, stating that I intend to run for this office in November, with or without the next 6 months sitting here. And that's about it. Any questions from you guys?
Any questions?
Are we asking questions or?
No, I didn't prepare any.
Okay.
No. Hope
You
this
can
was,
still ask. If you wanna ask one, you can ask one, right?
yeah, absolutely.
David, if you wanna ask a question, or Kevin, you're more than welcome to.
I'm good.
David?
I'm just gonna say, when I first got on here, I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was gonna be more like, meat and potatoes, like, replacing machinery and everything like that. But it's mostly personnel and HR that we're dealing with. So you are dealing with a lot of people. And so, I had to get used to that. And plus, no matter what you do, nobody's gonna like what you're doing. And you can walk to the grocery store, cause I think less than 1% of the people know who I am. But once in a while, I can hear people talking about me. It's not always favorable. So you have to keep that in mind too. That's what I had to get used to.
Bring it.
Okay, that's all.
I'm fine.
I'm just setting you up, that's all.
Oh, sure. No, I appreciate that, but, yeah, I know it's not
always, it's not always gonna be comfortable, it's not always gonna be easy. I'm ready for that.
Okay. Mr. Smith, did you say that you registered already with the election board? Is that what you said?
I called them and left messages expressing my intent
Okay.
I
I
wanted to
just
get
wanted to
in
make sure I
line.
heard it right.
as early as
You
possible.
starting the process.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much for your time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Simonis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Joseph J. Simonis. Most people know me by my middle name, which I think my family used to distinguish me from my grandfather. Resident of the town of Shenango, growing up in the Highland Road, Cherry Lane neighborhood, and for the past 37 years, been a resident on Castle Creek Road. It's my understanding that the board vacancy will require a special election this fall, and that will complete Councilman Demacio's term at the end of 2026. It is my intention to run in the special election and run for a full term next year. I have begun that process to be on the ballot. Over the past years, I've been asked to consider running for a council seat, and I feel now is the time is right. My children are grown, and years of knowledge and experience have been gained. As the 21st century progresses, our town will face challenges unique to our community and some similar to other upstate communities. I believe that my broad experiences will complement the knowledge and experience of this board, and I want to share my knowledge and experience with a community that has provided me with an extraordinary childhood and an incredible place for my wife and I to raise our family. My work experience has exposed me to many challenges and opportunities. It started in my teenage years on a landscape crew, then to a home building crew, then to constructing the first 11 Manly's Mighty Mart convenience stores. That was my first experience working with multiple municipalities, subcontractors, and property owners. From there, I was recruited by the Matthews family in Vestal to become part of their real estate team. Shortly after joining the team, they partnered with the Maines family to purchase the IBM Microelectronics division in Endicott. And there, I became vice president of Huron Real Estate Associates. As vice president, my role included, but wasn't limited to, the management of the 4.1 million square feet of facility space on 135 acres. It also included the management of the facilities engineers, and reported to me the maintenance director, the powerhouse director, waste treatment director, and the director of distribution. In addition to those roles, I led the transition between IBM and Huron, which included the relocation of hundreds of IBM employees. I led the effort to secure extensions of the 25 megawatts of electricity through the New York Power Authority and the Power for Jobs program, at the time, the largest award in upstate New York. I was the liaison between the Power Authority and the company for the administration of all those benefits. I was also the liaison between IBM and the company during the TCE remediation on the Huron campus. I also led the effort working with insurance consultants to reduce our insurance premiums by over $250,000 annually. In addition, I partnered with former Mayor Joan Paulson Endicott so she could fulfill a campaign promise that she made working through the new Restore New York program to tear down the old Endicott Forging Works. While at Huron, we were members of the Manufacturers Association of Central New York. There I served on their energy committee as the chair. As part of those responsibilities, I organized efforts to lobby at the state legislature and the New York Power Authority to discuss the issues that surround, the energy issues particularly, that surround upstate manufacturers. In addition to that, I was an advisory director at the Visions Federal Credit Union Board and a member of the Speedy Fest Board. After 9 years at Huron, the Matthews family asked me to help with one of their companies, Eco International. It was a scrap electronics recycling company, and and I became the chief operating officer. There I was responsible for all facets of the company, but we had to close out 3 non-profitable divisions on the west coast of the United States. I established the protocol for data destruction on all media-bearing devices. I directed the implementation of the environmental management system for the company, achieving the ISO 14001 standard. I also directed the implementation of the EPA's R2 recycling standard. We negotiated settlements with many West Coast vendors, and I also negotiated pricing for precious metals, which we sold on the second London market. After ECO, I was director of the i3 Electronics, the facilities director, where we maintained all the operations. We were also responsible for implementing one of the largest NYSERDA awards in upstate New York, a $2.2 million award that we implemented and actually received the credit for. After the assets were sold at i3 Electronics, I facilitated the management and shutdown of that facility, including working with the DEC to return our Speedies permit and our Title V air permit. These days, I'm managing multiple construction projects for the Matthews family at the Oakdale Commons. Over my adult life, I've periodically attended and occasionally participated in Town of Shenango board meetings, including several recently. In the last meeting, when the topic came up of how to interview some of these candidates, Mr. Johnson posed a question. He said, "Do you believe in open government?" Mr. Johnson, council members, citizens of this town, I do. And that means to me transparency. But that word transparency means to me having the open discussions in an open forum. I know sometimes they can be a bit awkward and even feel uncomfortable, but I believe that's how local government and even state government should operate. I applaud the board for the transparency that I've witnessed over those meetings, and I'd be honored to serve on this board.
Any questions for Mr. Simones?
I have none.
No. Okay,
No,
thank
I'm all
you.
set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have, I'm sorry, Sloda, Luke Sloda.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. My name is Luke Sloda. I appreciate the process. I currently live at 23 Columbine Drive. I've resided there for, I believe, 9 years now, the 23rd of this month. I'm formerly from Johnson City. I joke that there's something in the water in the bridge because my wife grew up here, and after our first daughter was born, we just absolutely had to be back here. So we left our home in Johnson City to move here roughly 9 years ago. I have 2 daughters, 10 and 8. One's currently in Fort Dickinson Elementary, 2nd grade. The other one is Shenango Bridge Elementary, 5th grade. You know, when I originally moved here, I had to resign from my position on the Johnson City board. And that was a big part of my life. I was very, very vested in the community that I was in. And I didn't know right away if I should jump back into politics and look into this or not. And at the time, I didn't know much about the area, and I thought it would be unfair of me to stick my neck out where perhaps it didn't belong. But after living here for 9 years now, and kind of getting to know my neighbors and getting to know some of the ins and the outs of what's going on in the town of Shenango, I thought that this perhaps was the perfect opportunity for me to get involved. I graduated from Johnson City High School. I served in the military for a handful of years in the United States Army. I deployed to both Afghanistan and Iraq in support of Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. When I got out of the Army, with an honorable discharge, I went to Cortland State and found my way back here. I met my wife, we started a family. I was fortunate enough to find a job in marketing where I was able to work from home. But like I said, when I first moved back, I got involved in politics in Johnson City. They were talking about dissolving the village. The police department and fire department were up in arms. There were some problems with public works, and I remember getting home and growing up in that community thinking, like, I just need to get involved. You know, I wanted to have a voice in this. voice of other people, and really act on that. And I think that was my initial push into this realm that you are all in, nearly 15 years ago. In that capacity on the board, we managed roughly a $50 million budget. I served on various committees over the years, appointed by the mayor, anywhere from public safety to the library committee to public works. I worked on the workplace violence committee, so when we had issues with employees and how they treated each other, the board had to get involved. I was involved heavily in the documentation process and the implementation or passing the information on to the other board members. So I think I have a bit of experience in this realm, although I've done a lot of research in the last handful of weeks, months, on how a town operates very, very differently than a city. So understanding day one, some of the things, the powers of the board, I think that would perhaps leave me uniquely qualified to do this. In my personal career, I worked for a marketing company. Like I said, I get to do that from the privacy of my own living room. I have a home office, so I'm very rarely not available. I have a lot of flexibility in my schedule. With my job, I kind of live in Excel documents and on Zoom calls, so I'm pretty comfortable speaking to people. And I've gotten pretty good with the math of things. So the budgeting process, I'm already familiar from a government standpoint about it, but I also do that day in and day out in my day-to-day job. What originally got me involved in, or interested in, I should say, local politics was when last year when there was all the issues with that smoke shop at the corner of River and Catelville. And that was like the firsthand example of something that was affecting me. And it made me do a lot of research about our current code and zoning and kind of reading a lot on things that have gone on in this area in the last however many years. And it then led me into reading a lot about what's going on around that particular realm. And then I've obviously attended a lot of meetings lately, and I know the facility that's planning on going down on Front Street in regards to like the marijuana dispensary. I think more than anything, I'm just more interested now in getting involved in potentially making a difference. And that's what brought me here today. I have also contacted the Board of Elections. I've already started to get signatures. I do plan on running in November in the special election regardless of the outcome of this potential temporary appointment. But this is something I'm interested in regardless.
Anything? Any questions for
I have
Mr.
none.
Lewis?
You're
Already
just-
done?
You're done?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. No, I'm all set.
Okay,
I'm good.
I'm good.
Thank
I
you
didn't
very
mean to
much.
cut
Thank
you
you.
off,
No,
sir.
no, you're totally
Okay.
fine. You did it all.
All right.
Just a bit rambling, so
Okay.
thank you.
No, I just, okay, let me clear that. Now we're gonna have Mr. Doyle, please. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Doyle. No, the other one. For those that are unfamiliar with Patrick J., I'm Patrick K. First, a little bit about me. I was born in Syracuse, moved down to Port Crane at 2 years old. Luckily, my family took me with them. I grew up in Port Crane. I worked in the Great American Grocery Store from 1985 to 1994, right at 1318 Front Street, store 455. Very familiar with the area. I bought a house on River Road in 2001, lived there ever since. Working-wise, other than Great American, I currently work for Binghamton University for 27 and a half years. That's a little about me. If you want to know any more detail, feel free to ask. Why am I interested in this position? I have been interested in politics since I was actually 8 years old, when in the elementary school Harpersville, the district we were in, actually ran a mock election between Carter and Ford. I voted for Ford. And ever since then, little bits and pieces through the years, I have been encouraged by all my friends to run for public office at some point in time. Instead, in 2016, I'm also a graduate of Broome Community College and Binghamton University. In 2016, I returned to school to earn my master's in public administration in local government. Graduating in 2020, was very interested in running for election at that point in time, but there was this weird thing going on called a pandemic. Wasn't able to run. Terry Kellogg stepped down. I stepped up for that position, was interviewed by whatever the board was at the time. It was Zoom. I don't remember you guys from this big. So I didn't get that position. So since then, I've been very active with Broome County Republicans. I am a Republican, obviously, or I wouldn't be wearing this tie. Benji Fetterman and Joe Angelino, and then Aaron Misha spoke to me and said, this position was open again. I said, hey, I think I'll apply. So here I am. Any questions?
Are you done?
I am done. I rattled through things really quickly.
Okay.
Oh, there is one more thing that I did want to say. As far as organization, things like that, through my job at Binghamton University, I'm very active. I am an elected member of the Professional Staff Senate. I was an elected member of the SUNY statewide University Faculty Senate, both shared governance, so I'm very, very familiar on how governments run, government organizations run. I'm also an elected delegate for our union, United University Professions, which we actually were just up in Albany during Advocacy Day last weekend, trying to get our legislatures to give the SUNY system a little more money. No, I'm done.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Doyle?
I have none.
I have none.
Okay, thank you kindly.
Boy, I must
Appreciate
have
it.
done well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did way better than we thought. Let me shut this off. Okay. All right, we have 6 o'clock public hearing. Gentlemen, it's 5:06. What would you like to do?
I'd like to postpone our conversation about this until after the public hearing.
So you want to just, we can do the public hearing early, correct? That's-
You
that's-
gotta wait till 6.
You gotta wait till 6 o'clock. So is there anything you guys want to,
We can move on to like
Ye-
7:2.
you think we can get through that? Public Works, open position? All right.
I don't know if we can, but
Well, we'll try it. We're gonna cut you off if it's 6 o'clock.
Well, you can't finish the discussion, you just can't start the public hearing early, you can
We can,
wait
okay, then
until
we'll
you
finish
finish
it.
it.
No, you take your time.
I have an opening in the DPW. Currently, New York State DOT changed trailering laws. It does not allow us, with just a standard CDL, to pull our trailer or an excavator. Anything over 10,000 GPW is not allowed. Before this change, we were able to pull our excavator with our truck and our trailer. Now that that's in place, our excavator is unable to be used. We are currently operating with a backhoe, so we are covering ourselves either way. My goal is to possibly ask the board to allow me to look out for a CDLA driver, something similar to the highway department in an MEO operational fashion. I crunched the numbers, just like with the judge. There's going to be a difference in budgeting lines, which is gonna go over. In my memo, it's about roughly $11,000, comparable to a laborer and an MEO light equipment operator. So my ask is the board interested in looking down that avenue to try to find a CDLA driver for the DPW department? If we're not, I would ask that the town allow me to put up a signboard and Indeed and so on and so forth for a labor position.
If you don't get a driver, your recommendation is to sell the truck and the excavator and the trailer?
If we do not get a driver, and the town is not able to send current employees to get trained for a CDLA, the need for the truck or the trailer and the excavators is
Can't
not
use it.
needed. We can sell that at auction, put the money into something else. We are currently operating now with the backhoe that we have, so.
Questions for Mr.
You mean
Burke?
just driving the backhoe to the project, or the,
Well, the excavator on our trailer, which is a 22,000-pound GVW trailer, is not allowed anymore. Can't go over 10,000 GVW. So I can't use the excavator anymore. We're currently using our backhoe that we purchased 2 years ago
Okay.
to do all our water.
Unless you get a driver with the correct license.
If we can't obtain that, then I suggest that we get rid of the excavator and just utilize the backhoe like we used to.
What is the cost to train an employee for CDLA?
When I budgeted it in the fall, was roughly $5,000. Now I'm being told through Owego, they're doing it for roughly $1,000.
A legal what?
Town of Village of Owego or the town of Owego? I know Darren was looking into it to see what the total cost would be to have, one of our employees trained to get the CDL.
Do we have an employee that would be willing to go to the training or can go to the training?
We have an employee who has a CDL currently now. We'd have to go and get the larger license to be able to trailer. Plus, we have our current crew chief, who is my operator, who is willing to go get his CDL as well, who used to drive the truck and the trailer with the excavator. Now he uses the backhoe. My thoughts were in the fall, I wanted to budget one operator in the sewer department, truck driver, and one truck driver in the water department, just in case there was a need to haul compost, wood chips. We had coverage there, and we had coverage in our water department, so our excavator and trailer.
Because there's no driver position in the contract. We would have to open the contract, negotiate again with the union.
Yep, yep. Or the only other way we could do is, one of our positions that we have, we can work with Broome County and require that stipulation on a civil service job description.
But
We
Nate,
have to make our own.
but Nate, wasn't it in the crew chief? You and me had that
Yeah,
conversation.
the maintenance crew chief, it doesn't require him to have a CDL, but
Oh, okay.
it requires him to be able to operate
Our current,
the equipment. Yeah, it uses some phrasing
but
like
the state
current.
changed the rules.
Right.
The state changed the rules. We are currently operating with what we have, and it's working fine. My goal was to try to provide that to the guys, so we go back to using our equipment that we currently own. I understand that there's a budgetary difference, and it will exceed it. The only other option is if the town is willing to look into training, which we do budget for training purposes, there's money in the budget for that. If the town is willing to look into that, I'm willing to hold off looking for a laborer, or sorry, I'm willing to just settle for a laborer and sending 2 employees to get trained to have that CDL thing, to pull the truck and the trailer in.
I know it's probably a union thing, but you get somebody trained, can you make it so they have to stick around a while for the town?
So you can't force somebody to work for us, Dave? That'd
No.
be,
Well,
that's against the Constitution.
That went out a long
But-
time ago. Somebody gets a CDL, that opens up a whole horizon of
We
different jobs.
could try to institute like a clawback over a period of time. If they leave within the first 6 months, then maybe we try to take back 80 or 100% of the training, because they get to take their license with them.
Right.
Has its difficulties
Yeah,
at times, but I mean, that's a common solution. Another way that you might think about doing it is,
We already have that policy in place, by the way,
Well,
through our
right.
education board.
That's
rules.
right. That's right.
Okay.
Another thing you might think of is just talking to the union and saying, if anybody gets their CDL, we'll pay you an extra $1 an hour, 50 cents an hour, just
But-
as like an extra stipend once
be
you get your
contractual.
license. So they'll earn more money, in the course of a year of dollars, $2,000 basically, and that'll cover the cost of their CDL, and they'll know that they'll get it. I mean, that's just an option.
Greg, there are 2 things that you had mentioned in your, one was that this was a new law. New laws don't just go into effect. When was the notice given on this law change, and when did it go into effect?
It was last year,
It came into effect last spring, about March, I think it was.
something in that line.
And how far before that had they put the notice out for the change?
I never saw the notice, so I don't know that.
Okay.
I do know that this is the second year that I've asked the board to train for CDL purposes, because eventually it's gonna happen.
And the equipment that can't be used now, hasn't been used for how long?
6 months, 5 months?
And how has that affected your operations?
None.
So it hasn't caused you to go and use an outside vendor?
No, I have a backhoe that we dig our bricks with now.
Mhm.
The only thing it does is it slows me down because I have to take the backhoe from A to B to fill the truck. So it just slows me down in time. That's it.
Would we be better off just having two backhoes?
We could, yes.
Sell the truck and the excavator and the trailer and,
Well, the truck is legally able to be used. The truck, we can
Okay.
pull anything, any trailer that we own that's under 10,000 GVW. The truck is perfectly fine. So we use the truck to pull our job trailer, which is 7,500 GVW. If we wanted to get rid of the excavator, I would suggest we use some of the money that we sell the excavator for to utilize the tamp and the hoe pack, and the hammer, and retrofit them to run on our backhoe. That's all.
are they able to do that?
I will find out once the town gives me directive on which way we wanna go.
The implements for the excavator, will they fit the
Yep.
backhoe?
Greg, and I just I'm seeing this as a backwards conversation. Town board directing you how you want to run your department with your staff and your equipment seems backwards. I would expect you to tell me what you want to do and how you're going to make it work. That's what I think your role is.
My goal is I wanted to have a CDLA driver to operate the equipment that we have currently. If the board does not want to spend more money and go over budget, we can operate as we are doing currently today, and I can settle for a laborer and get rid of the current equipment that we are not using because we legally can't. I'm looking for directive from the town. Are we willing to go over budget in looking for CDL drivers, or spending money to train CDL drivers to utilize equipment that the taxpayers spent money on years ago?
What do you think we should do?
Yeah, what's your preference, Greg?
I asked for 2 years now to train.
No.
drivers,
Just
CDL
tell us,
drivers.
what do you want? Don't tell us, just what
I
do you
want
want?
drivers to be trained to be able to use equipment that the town purchased for the department. That's what I want.
So
Okay.
you want CDLs?
I want CDL drivers to be trained with our staffing. If the town's not willing to do that with our staffing, we have to work with the union to create that position.
I can tell you that if that was your ask, I would support that, but to do, need you to tell the board what that cost is and find out if you've got employees that are currently here that would do that.
I would support that too.
I'm 100% on board with that.
Yep.
2 weeks, is okay, I can get on the agenda, and I'll have it for the next time I'm here?
100%.
Yeah.
At your timeframe.
But you want to be put on the earliest agenda,
I'm
is
here
that what
2
you,
weeks for the park, so if we're able to put it on for the 2 weeks that
on
I'm
the
here,
19th?
on the 19th, if we're full,
We'll see what the
I
board
can go back
decides.
to the next time.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Mr. Burden, you have anything else?
No.
Okay.
If I'm
I
not
didn't hear you,
needed for
Kevin.
anything else,
Yes, I was going to do that. I wanted to make sure he was done.
He was at.
am I needed for anything else?
Does anyone object if Mr. Burden gets home to his family?
I don't see anything on the agenda
I
that's
don't
an
either.
issue.
Nate, do you have any reason?
See ya.
Nothing I can think of right now.
If the board so chooses, the first floor carpet has been done.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to take a look at it?
Okay.
That's been done?
Don't go upstairs.
Don't go upstairs, we're working on the first floor side.
Don't go
Okay.
upstairs. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on with our agenda. Public hearing. I'd like to, let me get to that. I gotta get out of here. Okay. Going to introduce the public hearing, Nate?
Yep.
At this
so-
time, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, this public hearing is to hear comments relating to the town board's local law changing the date for the Board of Assessment review. The town recently hired a new assessor who provides services as an assessor to another municipality in the state. And as such, there's a conflict in the dates for her availability to attend here. Since we're her second one, she's asked that we move our date. And so this would accomplish it. It would place it on the 4th, I think it's Tuesday of the month. We talked about it being like the specific day in May, but no, it needs to be the 4th Tuesday, because the specific day in May, of course, moves around every year. So it's 4th Tuesday.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for any comments on the change of the date for the assessment board? Would anyone like to comment? Hearing none, I'm gonna close the public hearing. We're gonna move on to number 7, new business. We already listened to the candidates for the board seat, 7.1. Comments?
What do you wanna do?
Well, opinions, what do you got?
When they interviewed me, I believe you ranked them or something?
You did what, David?
You ranked the character, each board member
Okay,
ranked how they thought they did. And I won. But I don't know
I'm the
what
winner.
their reasoning was, or how they presented it. I know they came to Jim, they asked Jim first, and they said, do you have them ranked? And they said, yes. They went around the board, and then they said, well, do we talk about it later on, or do we come back the next meeting and decide? And Gene goes, I got my decision made right now tonight, so let's just tell it what it is. But I don't know what was the forcing thing.
Mr. Holbert?
What was the, you don't know what the forcing?
All they said was, I had enough for their first choice, so they chose me. I don't know if everybody exposed everybody.
What did you pick, like your 1 and 2 or something, and then they went around the tables? I wasn't, I don't know.
It was the first, everybody just said who their first pick was.
Okay.
And then
If it was a majority, then that's who it was.
that's as far as it went. So
That's as far as it went?
that's as far as it needed to go that night, because it was that particular
All
night.
right, then I'm gonna ask Mr. Clerk to take a call from the board members. Is that how you did it? I'm just asking, I've never been through this. So whatever his roll call normally is, let him ask it.
You wanna ask who my pick is?
Well,
Yeah, how
Okay.
does he yeah.
I think the first thing that we discussed before was whether or not we were going to agree on appointing someone or letting the election take its place.
I'd love to have that conversation.
So I think that just to duplicate the process and keep it the same, we at least start with that and come to an agreement that we are either gonna appoint somebody or let the special elections place the candidate.
I stated my theology on that at the last meeting, but
My feeling is that they all are interested in running, so why wouldn't we just put one of them on there now?
and if it, okay.
And
I
the
agree.
rest of them have the opportunity to run if they
They
don't
all
get
said
on,
they were gonna run regardless,
so.
and anyone can beat anyone at the election poll booth. I just always felt the person on it gets an advantage, that it's just, but I'm not gonna hold it up for that. It's just, I wanted to state my opinion of it. So, do you wanna, are we in agreement, we're gonna appoint someone?
I would like to appoint someone.
Okay, David?
I
All
agree.
right, so we've settled that, Mr. Holbert and Mr. Johnson and Mr. Warden, so,
Just,
Mr.,
wait,
that we're gonna
did you
appoint
say you
someone.
were?
No,
No, I didn't, but
oh,
Supervisor
go ahead.
spoke for me, so.
I assume that. My apologies to you and to the public. I assume that you were gonna stand where you normally do. Is
And
that correct?
It is
Okay.
correct. I do believe that we need to, that we should appoint somebody.
Okay. So then, Mr. Clerk, take your roll call
All right.
on the way you do it.
Mr. Warden?
Jay Simonis.
Mr. Johnson?
Jay Simonis.
Mr. Holbert?
Mr. Slota.
I didn't hear you.
Slota.
Mr. Lumsden?
I had Jay Simonis and Mr. Solodis second. So, my vote would be Simonis. Actually, I'd like to abstain.
You can.
Why?
What's your reason?
Because of my belief.
But you already voted.
I did. So I just shot myself in the foot. I should have just abstained. So,
Well, the process of abstaining is quite a bit different than what you just did. So you shouldn't have entertained any of
I
the
shouldn't have.
conversation or recused yourself right from the beginning.
Was there a motion to appoint somebody though? I think
no,
it was
no,
just a-
there wasn't. We're
we
just
just-
having a conversation.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
very
So-
valid point.
Right, so at least I'll explain why my choice was where it was, is this is a temporary position. And I think the board is served better by somebody who has government experience and can come in and act, and understand the process from a higher starting point. So, and that was the experience that Slota had. And so I think that that's a better benefit for the board as a functioning issue.
All right, so then the practicality of that is, because there's 4 of us, which always makes your point, that's why you need a 5-panel board. If I change my opinion, or you convince someone else on the board to go your way, otherwise it would be a 2-2 vote, which no action can be taken. So,
Yeah, right.
thoughts, David, Kevin?
I thought we just had a vote, right?
Well, that wasn't a
No,
vote. We
we're having
we all
this- we're
spoke
having-
on
we're-
who
we're
we
speaking
picked as
what
our.
we're thinking in front of the
Okay,
people. We
okay.
have, to Nate's point, we have not made
Okay.
a
So I
formal
would
vote.
assume that the next thing we would do would be
Yeah,
to make a motion and vote on it, correct?
absolutely.
I have nothing to expound upon why I voted what I did. I just had a good feel for it.
Yep.
So you want me to force you?
You want what?
Want me to force you to make a decision?
Well, you're not making any decisions right now until you
No,
vote.
I'm just,
I was gonna say, I was gonna force a decision, or to vote.
oh, you can
Let's-
make a motion to
let's-
vote?
make a motion to have a vote.
Second.
Well, have a vote on what? You gotta say who you're appointing.
What's that
You're
now?
making a
You-
motion
you-
to appoint someone.
To appoint the temporary board member.
And who?
And who? You gotta appoint, you gotta make a motion to appoint someone, the person.
Jay Simonis.
Okay? Is there a second?
I will second that.
Any more discussion?
I don't have any.
Mr. Clerk, take a roll call, please.
Mr. Warden,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert,
Nay.
Mr. Lumsden.
Yay.
Congratulations.
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 If I voted no, there'd be no action, we'd stay 4, so.
No, there would have been another motion for a different candidate.
Yeah, right. Could've kept on going.
Could've did this all night long.
See, that's why we need experience on the board.
Do you gentlemen want to have him sworn in and act as a board member the rest of this evening? I mean, you've appointed
Well,
him.
when they
Does he
appointed,
want to?
when they appointed me, they asked me to do that, and I rejected that night, but that would be up to Mr. Simonis, I guess.
Yep. Your appointment is effective immediately, so it's your choice to take your seat.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Come on down.
Okay. We're gonna move on.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, John. Good luck to you.
Welcome.
And good luck to everyone else. Please get out and get your signatures and get people to vote, because this is just temporary.
So just as an acknowledgement of making sure that you take your oath of office.
I have an oath right here.
Okay, so just because of that.
He can do that tonight, can he?
Yeah,
There's
he can
time.
do it after the meeting. He can do it right now. if you
Just
want him to, or-
don't forget to do that.
Okay.
So,
All right, we're gonna move on to Public Works. We did that, 7.2. So dog control, we don't have anything. You can see, they're not here tonight because that's the new board policy. Anyone have any questions on Joel's?
I have none.
None?
I have
Mr. Albert?
no.
Mr. Simone's probably not, I'm just guessing. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Does he even have an agenda?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll ordinance report, same thing. Everyone can see that. Gavin's not here, wasn't his night. Can we move on from that, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna go to 8.3, attorney's report.
Yep, worked on a variety of personnel issues. Dave mentioning during the town board interview process that a lot of personnel stuff going on is accurate. You know, if the town board wants an executive session on anything, you know, ask me, let me know, and, you know, we can have one, but there's nothing that I'm saying we need to do. But if you wanted an update on anything that's been ongoing, I could provide that to you in an executive session.
Any questions for Mr. Nate Van Wyn?
I have
None.
None? You done, Nate?
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the supervisor's report. I do have, what, did you say something? Oh, it's echoing terrible on this. I do have something. I would like to talk to the board about a conflict that I have, and I would like the board to give me some advice. As part of my duties as being supervisor, there will be times that I will be called for emergency services when there is an issue with something regarding the DPW emergencies during the weekends or at night, when no one else answers the phone, which does happen. When that happens, I will have to make a decision on who to call and give direction to either the crews, our crews, or independent contractors. To me, I want to have a clear direction from the board on how you want me to react when this happens. If I get called in the middle of the night for emergency services, and I get called and I call the list and no one answers, that will become problematic. According to the board, I'm not supposed to have much interactions with the DPW workers or their daily functions, which I fully understand and I agree with, to keep the separation of power. However, also the fact that the supervisor does not have the qualifications or certifications or the experience to know which DPW employees are best suited for whatever emergencies might rise. So my question for the board is, how do you want me to respond to those situations should I get called? And the deputy supervisor, if I'm not available, would be the next up. And I would like to have that conversation.
So Mike, I'm not sure if you want me to maybe provide some context.
Yes,
to
I
the-
would.
To the board members, because
I
they're probably like,
absolutely
what are
would.
you talking about? So, the DPW contract calls for the Director of Public Works to be the first person called, basically, whenever there's an emergency in the town. So the process is.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna interrupt just to get clarity on where, who is the supervisor supposed to call? Or
Yes,
who
well,
calls
so,
in?
so let me give you the explanation context around all of this, right? So,
Yeah.
the union contract calls for a normal workday between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. After 3 p.m., anytime that anybody gets called in, it's a call-in, which is determined by the Director of Public Works. In an emergency, call-ins are now mandatory. Emergencies are declared by either the Director of Public Works or the supervisor under the union contract. So the issue could potentially, that Mike's referring to, is if there's a late night issue, Greg is called by 911 about the alarm going off wherever it's going off. If Greg does not answer, then Mike is gonna get called, which is what the contract calls for. Mike's concern is that who is he to know, what's truly an emergency and who should he be calling next, and he's asking you folks for some directive, I guess, as to what he should do in that scenario.
So how does this work for highway? Obviously Darren gets called, but
Yeah, Darren has
there's
a-
multiple people underneath Darren that get called after him. Why doesn't
Yeah.
that happen in public works?
So the
Question.
union
Why did we let Greg go?
The union employees are not managerial, they're employees in the union, right? So one of them is a straw boss, but his job is not to declare emergencies and schedule employees and require them to be called in. So, you know, your solution here would be either provide Mike some additional direction on what he's supposed to do, and you might say, Mike, why don't you talk with Greg and just follow whatever Greg tells you to do, if Greg's not there, and then do that. Or another solution could be hiring somebody to be the deputy director of public works for the town, or creating a new union position that does include some authority for one of these union members to do these things. It hadn't been an issue previously, it is now.
I can't see why this is really a complicated issue. Greg's got a process that should be documented and shared with Mike, so if he gets the call, he knows what it is. It's just a phone tree issue to me.
But if I can't, what happens, and this seems to be repeatedly happening, where it's 20, 30 calls and no one in DPW is answering the phone. So my point to you guys is, if I get the call and I go through the list and no one answers, me being me, I would try to go do something.
Well,
So,
under
do
the
I
con-
just make the calls and just keep calling? I mean, I'm just asking, this is a real,
Well, that would,
do I call an
first-
independent contractor to fix it? What do I do?
the first thing is this is probably something that should have been shared for the board if it was an issue for you, with your supervisor's report, so we could have understood and had some time to think about this before.
Okay, well, I just brought it up. We don't have to
No.
settle it tonight.
Well, I don't wanna keep wasting time on the conversation either, but it's not, we're talking about an emergency issue. And if I understood the narrative of the conversation before, that under the terms of the contract for the union, they can't refuse to come out during an emergency.
Well, we have a
Is it-
thing
was
set
that-
up for
is
the
that accurate?
weekend, but we
You
don't
are-
have it during the week.
Well, just one people,
Yeah,
one.
Gene, you are correct. It's mandatory. They have to respond. The issue is that when somebody's asleep in the middle of the night, they might not answer their phone.
Right, so you just go down and you get to the bottom of the list, and if you're going, how many people are on this list?
It's 7 people. It's all the members and
So you call 7 people, nobody answers, you go back to 1, you keep calling them. I don't care, you walk over to their door and knock on their door, and something's gotta happen, but
If that's the directive, I'll find these people,
what
but.
would Greg do?
Just
Get
want
that
some
information
directive
from
from you
Greg.
guys.
Gene, I think it occurs to me, last year before, you had questioned the number of times and the amount of money that Greg was spending on contractors coming in for like emergency work. My understanding is that Greg had been using contractors in the event that the DPW workers were not responding in the middle of the night. And so I think you'd said, well, then that's fine, but let's competitively procure it like you're supposed to, since we know we're gonna spend more than $35,000. Mike, that would be, if Greg gets an emergency contractor for this stuff, then Greg might say, I'll spin through the phone tree twice, and if nobody answers, then I'm calling the contractor. I mean, that could be a solution as well.
Well, that could be the result of it, but if it's an emergency and they don't answer, then there's a process in the contract to write them up and to put that in place to hold them
And I
accountable.
understand that process. I understand all that. I'm talking at the point that happens, everything that you're talking about is after the fact they get disciplined. I just want some directive from you guys that I don't overstep my boundaries. When I get the call at 2 o'clock in the morning, no one's answering, and I am going banging on their door. I don't want you guys telling me I've overstepped my boundaries.
I can't tell you that. Greg's
Okay.
gotta tell you what that process is and follow
I
that to
wanted
the
to just
letter.
have the public, I wanted to have it on the record.
But that, to me, I think it's an issue with Greg. Greg has to,
That's fine.
I mean, he has foreman, right? Wouldn't his foreman be the next person that's,
You would think that would be correct.
well,
There-
that's how it is in highway.
Yeah, they're not agreeing that it's their job.
That's
What do you
right.
mean they're not
The
agreeing?
union is not
It's not in
agreeing.
their job
So
duties.
this is a problem with Greg, that he needs to work it out with his guys, or come to the board and explain it.
Yeah, I have reached out to the union rep, Bob Firmstone. He's on vacation, or he was last week, to ask him whether or not we could implement a weekday on-call person, like we have with weekend on-calls.
Right.
Just so that there is somebody that you can point to very clearly to say, oh, no, you're on call. If you don't show up, you are definitely getting disciplined.
That is not the conversation that this started around.
No, it is not.
So let's stay on task. We're talking about an emergency situation. That's the only time the supervisor gets into this scenario.
And you just want me to continue to call and that's it?
No, I want you to get what Greg's
I understand
path
that. He's
is.
gonna give me the list of who to call, just like 911 had a list that was provided to them. And when they call it 18, 19, 20 times, now according to the contract, what they're going to do is they're gonna call Mr. Burden first, and when they don't get him, they're calling me. And I just, to me, that because of the board and the previous supervisor here, Mike, don't overextend yourself. Mike, don't get that involved. Well, if I'm making the phone call, I don't even know which person is best suited for whatever the problem is. So I just wanted some direction. I just wanted to have the conversation. I'll make a decision. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about, I just want directive from you guys how to handle that situation. And if the answer is just keep calling Mike, then that's what I'll do.
I'm not gonna give you the answer. It's not a board decision to answer. It's Greg's policy, it's his process. You need
Okay.
to, whatever
Fair enough.
Greg would have done is what I would expect the next person who is
Okay.
responsible to do that.
Fair enough.
If that's you, if that's the supervisor, then that's what it is.
I just, in order for the supervisor to, because Greg, according to him, I should have kept him. All right, well, I'll do that. I'll get his list, and then we'll have this conversation again. Okay.
Why?
Because on that list, Greg or the straw boss
I
makes the decision.
don't wanna hear the term straw boss,
Well,
because it's not
in
in the
there.
contract.
Well, it is a real
It's not a
thing.
class.
Well, according to this, it is. Then let me put it this way.
Mike, I can help you out. So actually, the word for straw boss does appear in the
Yes.
maintenance crew chief's job description.
In the job description, but
Correct.
not in the union contract.
It is not in the union.
And that's what we're talking about. So let's keep our conversation
Okay,
to
fair
where it
enough.
begins and where
Alright.
it needs to stay.
The crew chief then.
That's fine.
Okay.
But I don't
I won't
understand.
use the word straw boss
But
again.
why do we have to have it again? Why do we have to have this conversation again?
I would like to have it,
Because,
just so I can seal it in my
because
mind.
according to Greg, depending on what goes off, what alarm it is, either himself or the crew chief know what that alarm is. They're trained in what it is, what the severity is, to know who to call and how to take care of the problem. How am I going to have that information?
Greg,
Okay?
I don't understand.
So do both of them have town phones?
I don't know. This just came up this week when I got called.
I don't know if Greg has a town phone.
You don't know if
Or,
Greg has?
excuse me, I don't know if
Greg's
Luke.
gotta have a
I don't
Greg's
know
got
if
a
Luke
town
has
phone, yes. I don't know about Luke. I don't know about the crew chief. I don't know what he has. I've never called it. But it happened this week when the emergency services called me.
The town phone isn't even a relevant part of the conversation either, because the call list is the phone number to get the person, the home phone number, their personal cell phone number, whatever it is on that call list, that's what you
Okay.
would follow.
Okay. And I just keep calling it, and that's all I'm gonna do then.
I don't know that. It's whatever Greg would do, if that's
But
gotta
Greg,
come from
depending
Greg.
on, he can see if it's alarm at number 1 or number 2 or number 3 or number 4. He has a relative idea of what is going on. So he knows what he needs. Does he need a backhoe? Does he need 2 guys because they're gonna be in confined space? I don't have any of that information. Now, if I need to get that information, that's fine. If I gotta educate myself, that's fine. but I never had that directive before, and the directive that has always been from the board is don't overextend yourself, which I agree with. But if I'm gonna get called and I'm looking at what's the alarm, I have no way of knowing what the severity is. It could just be a bad buzzer, it could be a pump, it could be a sewer plant, it could be a 6-inch water main going. How do I know that?
So I'd say just talk to Greg.
I will.
I'd like to know what he said, and
Good.
we'll all be
That's
happy.
all right. We had part of the conversation. It's a real thing that
Yeah.
really happened this week, so that's why I brought it up.
It may last about 1 minute of our time. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
We're spending more time talking about it than the chance you're gonna take to talk
Okay.
about it.
Okay. I just wanted to have the conversation. We're gonna move on to number 9.1, resolutions. Mr. Nate.
It's a resolution approving abstract number 4.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I have none.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis? Okay, Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye.
Resolution 9.2 is a resolution transferring Renee Dallimore from the position of deputy clerk to senior clerk with an effective date of blank. So you folks will have to decide when you would like her to start.
Well, I'll make a motion for the resolution. Do I get a second, and then we can have a discussion about the date?
Second.
Or is that,
Your motion needs to include the date.
okay.
Can we discuss it now?
I'll
Yes.
make the motion to appoint her effective immediately.
I'll second it to have the discussion.
Okay. Now
Now
we
there's a
can, now we
discussion.
can discuss it.
Yeah, oh, you can.
You said you'd like to have her for another month.
Yes, sir.
Did she sign off on it?
She did. Yep, her and Gavin are both okay with it, and they understand that it's about maintaining the standards in my office, about maintaining the standards in my office while I get the seat filled. It's been a struggle. I only have one applicant. I have the signboard out front. I have it on the website. I'm going to be putting an ad in the newspaper. I'm trying to get it on the county website, which I believe is free.
So you talked both to her and to Gavin, and they said
They are
it's
both
okay
okay
that
with
you
it.
can keep her for a month.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clerk, that is not the information that your deputy clerk gave me. She said she did not agree to that. I got that in a text. The
Well,
exact
that's news
text
to
was,
me.
I said, do what you gotta do. Mr. Gavin also spoke to me. He basically said, you gotta do what you gotta do. So,
I talked to,
I'm just saying, I was told something different. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just telling you what I was told.
it's news
So,
to me. I've talked to
Okay.
Renee a few times about this. I talked to her this
Okay.
afternoon. I talked to Gavin
okay,
yesterday.
I just had to I had to be open
This
about
this
that.
is about maintaining my standards and properly representing the public to what the clerk's office deserves and what
I
the town
don't
deserves.
disagree with any of that, the statement that you just made with Mr. Johnson, I had to, for the record, tell them what I was told. So, any more discussion?
Mike, you said that you received that from?
I did,
From Renee?
yes,
In a text
yes,
today?
yes.
Okay. I know, Adam, that when we had this conversation 2 weeks ago, the very last part of the conversation from my point of view was that this was, you had asked for more time, you had said you needed 2 weeks, and I specifically addressed you and said, this is your responsibility from now on. There's no more town board involvement in this, because you have to hire and you are responsible for your deputy clerks.
Yes,
And
sir.
that this was gonna happen in 2 weeks, so make sure you get your stuff done.
Did you get an application?
So,
Oh, I'm sorry, my apologies, Gene. Go ahead.
I only have one application so far. 2 weeks has not been long enough.
you said you were going to put an ad, in Indeed.
I didn't say that.
just a few minutes ago you did. You said you were gonna put the signboard out, you were gonna put an Indeed application out, you were gonna do all that. That's all information that isn't relevant to me, other than to know that you didn't do anything for the last 2 weeks that you needed to. It still doesn't change my mind. I think we need to make the appointment, because that was the commitment we made to the employee.
I have the signboard out, I have it on the website. I didn't want to spend my budget or the town's money until I gave it a few days. The signboard has only been up for a little over a week and 1 day. I'm just trying to maintain the standards, you know.
And in fairness to Mr. Clerk, he had asked me about putting an advertisement in today into Indeed or something, and my advice to him was, if it's inside his budget and he's got a budget line for it, I thought he could do it. If I gave him the wrong information, I just be in full disclosure that that's what I had told him today.
He absolutely, it's his responsibility to hire for that position. Whatever he has to spend out of his budget to do
Okay.
it, then
But does it have to be a line, I didn't know, does it have to be a line item for advertisement, or does it come out of his general budget?
I don't
wasn't
know,
sure.
I don't have the budget in front of me.
Okay.
But the other issue is that this is not something that came up 2 weeks ago. This is an issue that came up a month ago. And we knew for 2 weeks that we were gonna be discussing it 2 weeks ago. So this has been
I
a
had
month, Adam, that you should have been putting effort into getting somebody, not this last few days.
I have been, sir. I've been doing my job to try to maintain the standards. It's difficult to generate interest inside the town of Shenango. I only have one application, and I don't think it's a big ask. I don't consider this to be me not doing my job. I have been doing my job.
No one implied that. We had, your clerk gave a written request in writing. She brought it to my office, I forwarded it to the board. That was 4 weeks ago, Mr. Clerk. You were in my office and I asked you. We talked about it. You didn't seem to have a problem with that. You said you're gonna get through it, and I've been asking you every day. So it's not a big ask of what you're saying. I agree, it's not a big ask from your point of view, but we had a request. We've left that seat open in the code department that we have an obligation to fill. And to be blunt with you, I see you almost every day, and things good, yep, and I have to assume, unless you bring something to my attention, you're an elected official, you run your department. I don't try to interfere, I don't believe I have, but it was today that you asked me about this, the day of the meeting. And to me, I understand the position, and I'm not, I think we should have been working on it 4 weeks ago when she put her first application in.
I've been asking people in the building,
Okay.
people I know,
Okay.
since the
Okay.
day after she told me. I have
Okay.
been working on it.
Okay.
Okay, when you guys made your decisions last meeting, it sped up the process significantly. for me.
And we extended it 2 more weeks for you to find someone. You asked then, you said, you asked me.
We were gonna appoint
that
Renee
night,
last-
and
2 weeks ago.
he was gonna appoint that night, and you said, give me a break. So I said, well, 2 weeks, and you said yes. I mean, we tried, that was at that meeting. Right? Am I wrong?
I tried to express that I wanted her to help me hire somebody
Yes.
new, okay?
Yes.
If there was something lost in translation about what that meant, then maybe that's the case here. Okay?
Well, helping you interview someone and keeping someone for a month or until you find a replacement are 2 different things, because we got an open seat. We got an open job that we have to fill in that code department that we thought we had situated. But that's just my point.
I'm done with my discussion.
Pardon?
I'm done with, I don't need more discussion.
So we gotta put a date to it.
No,
He put a date to it.
What did, I didn't hear you then.
effective immediately.
Effective immediately. Any more discussion?
I'm done.
Could I,
David?
I agree. We've been open position. We had time for things to develop, and we find out today at the last minute is not a good deal to find out anymore. So I'm for hiring her today for that code position.
So Kevin, you seconded Gene's motion, correct? For immediate? Or
I'm-
did you, I didn't.
No, I didn't, but I'll second it if.
You're
that's fine.
seconding.
I thought somebody seconded.
No,
You already
I
have a
made the
motion in a
motion,
second.
Mike
Mike
seconded.
I
seconded.
did second it, that's right, to have the discussion, I'm sorry.
We had that discussion.
Any more discussion?
I have no more discussion
Mr. Simonis, you're gonna abstain?
on this one.
could I inquire about opening up the job position outside of Shenango?
Not
Well, we
during
gotta,
this discussion.
you can,
Wait till after
we
I
gotta
vote.
finish one thing at a time. I get tuned up for this all the time. Mr. Clerk, take a roll call, please.
Mr. Simonis?
Abstain.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Oh, did you get Mr. Johnson?
Did I skip
Aye.
Because I'm usually last. Mr. Lumsden, aye. All right. You got another resolution, Nate?
Yes. Resolution 9.3. This is to adopt the local law regarding changing the Board of Assessment review meeting date.
So moved.
I'll second that. Discussion?
I have none.
I have none.
Do we
Roll call.
have, do we have to state what that is in the resolution, what that,
The actual resolution sets it as the fourth Tuesday in May. Or excuse me, the local law sets it out as the fourth Tuesday in May. The resolution adopts the local law.
okay. Because I didn't, and it references it there. Okay, thank you. Yep. I have no more questions.
Anyone else?
I have none.
No?
Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Simonis?
Abstain.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye. We're gonna move on to future topics. We have our list. On the 19th, we have, Mrs. Lumsden, we have the playground equipment for Greg, work rules, highway, salt shortage, highway department, fund balance, and abstract number 5. There was something earlier tonight we talked about putting on the agenda that was Greg for,
Yeah, I think you should add Greg. I mean, he's gonna be here. for
he's
the
gonna
other
be
two
here anyway. So we're gonna put Greg with
CDLAs,
CDL, right?
CDLAs.
We're gonna talk about the judge too, are we?
Well, you can bump Mrs. Lumsden, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that's a long conversation, but it could be. I gotta recuse from it, but I'll go out on the limb and say you can bump her if you need to.
The playground equipment ordering for the parks,
Yes. It's important for time frame, isn't it?
well, I just, if it's on, if he's got all his documentation, then that's fine, but that's a short conversation.
Okay.
I don't know what the work rules are as of yet, so, I don't see why that has to be the 19th.
No, take the work rules out then?
Push that to the second?
Second?
I think his CDLA would be more important than the work
Yes,
rules
yes.
discussion.
David, you good with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move work rules to April 2nd.
Yep.
Okay?
I,
The highway department truck repair, that seems to be important. Darren had told me he couldn't be here tonight. He said that he's scrapping his lift in his garage because there was other issues, so,
Yeah, no lift.
yeah, no lift, so.
okay.
So if we do Greg's CDL, is there anything else anyone feels they need on the 19th?
No, No, but the fund balance is just gonna be a summary report, you know, for us to get into, so that's gonna take some time. So
The what?
the fund balance,
Yes, that's gonna take some time. I'm gonna make a suggestion, see where the board's at. Would the board entertain on the 19th, having a discussion for the clerk to have him make his pitch for what he wants to try to do outside of the town of Shenango? He made, out of respect, I'm just asking the board,
I have no interest in that.
okay? I had to ask.
I haven't thought much about it, so.
Yeah, it just sprung that on me, so.
So you don't wanna put it on the 19th? I just made the suggestion, that's all.
What's the advantage, just getting the
Well,
wider loop or that, or-
It's gonna take quite a bit to do it. It's not gonna solve the immediate problem, because I believe in order to do that in a second-class town, that would be a full public hearing. Local law, so it's
Can
gonna
we
take.
just make a decision on whether it's gonna be on an agenda or not have the discussion?
Yes. You don't want it on the 19th?
I do not want the
Okay.
discussion at all.
Okay, David?
I guess I don't either.
Mr.
I do not.
Mr. Simone? Okay, then we're gonna move on with the
Well,
agenda.
well, no, everybody gets a chance to say their opinion.
He said no.
I would not.
Okay. And
Like,
you?
he went
No,
like
and you.
that.
And you?
You?
I would not.
Okay. That's important.
There you go.
Thank you.
19's pretty full, and it's not gonna solve the immediate problem.
No. All right.
Are we good with the agenda then, for the 19th?
I think we have plenty on there
Yeah.
for the 19th.
Yep.
Okay.
I have nothing to add for a future topic.
I have nothing.
Mr. Simones?
What
Okay,
do you wanna add?
I'm going to move on, as we often do. The public has a right to speak. Guests shall speak in an orderly fashion, are limited to remarks of 5 minutes or less. The speakers shall deliver their comments or concerns in a civil tone without the use of profanity, personal attacks, or other disruptive behavior. The speaker shall not be interrupted except in a matter of urgency. I see one person. Would you like to speak, sir? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Second.
Oh,
What?
you could have it.
No.
All in
I
favor?
haven't had a second in a long time, so don't worry about it.
Are you opposed to that, Mr. Holbert, adjourning the meeting? You
No.
Well, you seem like you're doing something. I just
Well,
wanted to make sure.
I was checking my notes to make sure that
All
we
right.
did everything, but there are some things, housekeeping stuff that, just with the appointment, Jay, and the
I
removal of
didn't hear
Jim.
anything you just said. This is echoing terrible for me. Go
Just
ahead.
with the appointment, the emails and the computer switch over and the administrative stuff.
He's gonna have to come and see, Miss Jody and the clerk to get
all the emails
Exactly.
and all the other stuff set
get
up.
his
and-
laptop and everything. Jody has all that
Okay. so
from
just-
when Mr. DiMaggio stepped down.
Yep, so all that stuff's
So
gotta
you just need
get
to
on
stop
there.
and see her, and please be a little patient, because our whole office is in chaos. We got everyone stuffed in one room, so. But she probably has a little blue bag like this to give you, okay? All right.
Blue bag.
And then if there's anything that I can do to help you adjust quick, whatever, any questions you got, reach out to me.
Yeah, give me what's your cell?
Meeting adjourned?
You didn't help me.
Yes, I did.
Joanne helped me.
Well, there you go.
See, then I did you a huge favor. Joanne did a lot of help. Whoops, I gotta turn this off.